because the shopping, the cooking, all of that stuff is going on. So it's more about you get lost in the hustle and bustle of it. And when you have a deep-rooted already anxiety and depression, this is a way to mask it. Once it's over, now you're sitting in your real stuff.
Hey everybody, it's me, Michelle Wright, and welcome to the 99 Ways to Win podcast, where we use truth, transparency, and humor to navigate Christian living. Now, this episode, which is the first episode of 2024, we are going to later on in the podcast get into some serious content. So if you have little ones or maybe anybody that may be sensitive to the subject of self-harm and things of that nature, please keep that in mind before we get into the actual episode. But trust me, it is going to be filled with good information, hope, and of course, some biblical encouragement. So I hope you can enjoy this and get something out of it. All right, let's get into the episode.
It is 2024, and it is season 4 of the 99 Ways to Win podcast. I am your host, Michelle Wright, and I have my wonderful co-host, Miss Falon Sales. What is up?
Hey, what up, what up, what up?
All right, we got the ET green. I like it.
Yay.
All right, so this is the very first episode of the year. It's January. So I wanted to talk about something a little bit different that maybe people don't talk about, which I honestly didn't really know it was a thing, but somehow I came upon this article about New Year's depression. So we're going to talk about that, and then the importance of reflection, on your life, on different things. And, of course, we'll talk a little bit about goals. Some people do New Year's resolutions. Some people I don't do resolutions. You do goals, whatever. But, how you do that in a realistic sense, so you're not, setting yourself up to be, stressed and all of that good stuff. So I am... Okay, I know I told you didn't necessarily have to read that article, but I don't know. Did you scan over that article at all? Or is it going to be all me?
It's all you. I didn't get it. Did you send it to me?
Yes, there was a link in the email.
I thought that was this link.
So you didn't scroll down.
I was excited
at the top. You just saw it was at the top, and you just okay, here's the link for the meeting. I see how you are. Okay.
I thought that's what that was. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay. So apparently the host needs to give clearer instruction to the co-host in the future. That's fine. We're learning.
Co-host needs to read. Come on, accountability.
I love it. See, that's why I like you. That's why I like you. That's what's up. So let me see. Do you see my screen?
I do.
Hey, look at that. Look at Michelle trying something new. Okay. All right. So this article is on psychcentral.com. And it says, Depression in Winter Months, How to Cope with the January Blues. The start of the new year often symbolizes fresh endeavors and revived goals, but the post-holiday rush is part of a common mood shift known as the January Blues. So it says that, and I'm just going to kind of touch a couple of things, and we're going to talk about it, but it says that, there's this thing called Blue Monday, which is supposed to be the third Monday in January, and it's supposed to be the most depressing day of the year. But apparently this terminology came about from this marketing thing, from a travel company that was trying to, they was trying to think of an angle for advertising. So it's I guess, if you're sad or whatever, go on a trip, travel somewhere, go visit your family or something, to pick yourself up. So, but it says that, sadness, depression, etc., in January and in the winter months in general is actually a thing. It says a number of factors are thought to contribute to this, including weather, cold temperatures, reduced daylight hours, holiday absence, and financial stability. It also goes on to say later that, let me see, where is it? This little part I'm just going to go ahead and read. The January blues describe a common period of low mood that occurs during the first month of the new year. For many people, this is the time when the holidays are finally concluded and life is settling back into its regular routine. For a part of the world, it also marks the start of severely limited daylight, colder temperatures, and more time spent indoors. The January blues can mean something different for everyone. For some people, it may represent general dysphoria or the start of a depressive episode, but other negative emotions can be more common for certain people. And I did have to look up what dysphoria meant. Hold on, because I did look that up. I had an idea, but...
Right.
Let's see. Dysphoria, a state of unease or generalized dissatisfaction with life.
Mercy.
That is what dysphoria is. So, that being said, and of course, now I've got to get back to the article. So, general unease or dissatisfaction with life can occur in January. And then it says, while the January blues is most frequently characterized by depression, it can also include increased feelings of anxiety, guilt, and shame, as well as low self-esteem, says Saba Luri, a licensed marriage and family therapist from Los Angeles. And then it says that, again, it has a couple of causes: shorter days, decreased physical activity, decline of social stimulation, absence of holiday anticipation or excitement, and social event fatigue. So I'm going to stop right there as far as reading it. And for me, I'll say I've never had like depression or sadness necessarily in January myself. I've always been like excited. But over the past couple of years, I've experienced it like in the holiday season, because after my mom passed in 2021, then it was like, and she passed in September. So it was like, when Thanksgiving was coming up and Christmas was coming up, it was like, oh, like it was different, and like, it was sad because like, oh, she didn't make it, she's not here, blah blah blah. So, I think that's why I ended up coming, looking at this, because this year's like way better, but because it's been 2 years now. But I did have those times where it's kind of like, oh, there's like a little bit of sadness. And then also for this year, my son, is in the Air Force, and now he got shipped, overseas. So it's like, oh, this is gonna be the first Christmas that he doesn't get to come home, since he, went in or whatever. And so there's some sadness there. So I was like, you know what? Let me look up something about, there could be other people that's dealing with this. It may even spill over to the new year. And I found this article. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're talking to somebody that lives with, and I try not to say struggle with or, is a victim of. I say, lives with depression, anxiety, and things of that nature. So it's usually all year round, but during the holidays, matter of fact, not even during the holidays, it is after, in January, with the whole it's over now. There's nothing to keep you distracted, because the shopping, the cooking, all of that stuff is going on. So it's more about you get lost in the hustle and bustle of it. And when you have a deep-rooted already anxiety and depression, this is a way to mask it. Once it's over, now you're sitting in your real stuff. And wait a minute, all of that is gone now, and now I have to live with myself, And I don't like to say it like that, but,
No, that's good.
Now, you're like left sitting in a mirror, So it's a real thing. It's huge, and I don't think enough people talk about it. So.
Wow. Okay. So, like, what, I'm going to do kind of two-part question. So what did that look like when you were not handling it well?
Oh, well, I guess and kind of like what they said, that is maybe a cause, but it actually is a symptom as well. So not going anywhere. They're saying that it was because of lack of, now you're depressed, but really now that you're depressed, you don't go anywhere. You don't want to go anywhere. Everybody is gone back to their realities, so there's family, friends and stuff that have come into town, so you're just like in this fetal position, like, and that goes back onto what one of the topics that you wanted to touch on as far as reflection.
All right,
so
come on, let's go there.
So a lot of times it's not a positive reflection. We don't have to beat ourselves up when we reflect, so a lot of times we're reflecting on, well, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. It's just a really, really negative, because that's what we're focused on, right? I didn't have matching pajamas with a boyfriend because I'm single. I'm thinking about that. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about everything.
Or pajama party.
Yeah, like, it's just, there were so many things.
Just to be clear, Christian.
Right. Well, yeah, but I'm well serious. Back when I was, it's the fact that I'm not married.
Let's talk real.
I'm single. So here's these people on Facebook and stuff, and to be honest, as a Christian, you look at people living life as if it doesn't matter. So it's just kind of like, even that's kind of sad, because you're like, man, when I was, you just weighing everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
like, well, out in the world, like I was having more fun.
It seemed like that. You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes you were for a while, and then until you realize, like, oh wait, hell, right. Separation from God. Like, I can't.
It is,
like with the stuff that like really like. I mean, cause I had fun in college when I was doing stuff I didn't have no business doing. But then I also had those times, like you said, when you have to deal with yourself. So like when you're not kicking it with your friends, or you're not with whoever that you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing with, and then you're like, man, wait a minute, like I don't have that peace.
Yeah.
Or something happen. You ever like have something happen and like you get scared, like you think you're about to get in an accident or something, and then you have that moment where you're like, oh crap, if I die right now, I remember that. But anyway, go ahead. I'm not still here.
Look, you be itching.
Oh, when you get scared, you start itching.
Oh yeah, like my armpits itch. Like,
that's an anxiety symptom for you, my armpit.
Dang. Yeah. So there's that.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
I know a young lady that she's like she does itch, like she'll start scratching like if she gets surprised. Or whatever, because she has like sensitivity things and stuff, and then like I was like, what are you doing? She's like, oh yeah, like if I get thrown off or like somebody startles me, like I'll start itching, and she'll like scratch her arm. I'm like,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So when you have that going on and you're not dealing with it well, then it's like you just kind of withdraw, basically.
You withdraw. You overanalyze. You're negative. You become negative towards yourself, not necessarily towards anybody else, but nothing has a silver lining. At that point, like everything is just terrible.
Now, when you were like that, or when you are in a state like that, are other people able to tell by you like when you go to work, or you're around your family or whatever? Can they tell that you're in that mindset, or are you able to like mask it? You all good when you're talking to them?
That's the best thing about high functioning depression or anxiety is, you can hide things. So,
wow.
a lot of times, I mean, have you ever looked? I've looked at some of these. I don't know if that's morbid. I can't see your face either, by the way.
I don't know why not.
Yeah, take the sharing screen off, I think.
Oh, yes, that's why. I thought you were trying to not be depressed, but okay, here you go.
Oh, my goodness. But,
I'm Kurt. I'm Kurt.
You so funny. I think you're absolutely beautiful. Lord have mercy. Yes. But, we're high functioning a lot of times. So people don't even realize that we're like that until there's this great offense that they've done or something, and now you're on blow up mode. What's wrong with her?
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, you blow up or you break down crying or to where you just can't hold it anymore.
Gotcha.
And so that's what mine look like. Other people may be different. Again, like I was saying that I looked at a couple of different suicide stuff. There were a lot of people that may commit suicide, and people never saw it coming.
And I've heard that before. Like I didn't know. Like I didn't. They seemed like they were fine.
Yeah. Now you got
something that saying. Actually, and you still don't know necessarily, but one thing that happened is they get like really happy right before because they're looking forward to it, they're planning it, and they're like, oh, and it's like, and you would think, okay, if somebody's really in a good mood, like it's good, they're doing well, and it's like, maybe not.
I did that. I had a coworker. I worked with him for about 3 years. And within my first 2 weeks of meeting him, I looked at him and I said, "You're suicidal."
Wow.
He was very sweet guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just really sweet. But, like, working with him for 2 or 3 years, within the 2 or 3 weeks that I worked with him, I first met him, I said, "You're suicidal." And I left it at that. But I always say, he just looked at me like, what? Like, why would you say that? So anyway, later on throughout the years, there were things that happened, things, just little stuff like that. And he was just, bless his heart, he was just this young kid. He ended up getting his own place. He ended up finally getting somewhere. It seemed like he was getting somewhere. But I do remember telling my boss, don't let him off too many days in a row. Because they were cutting hours and stuff. He had just got this place. And you know how it is when you just get a place, and now all of a sudden the work want to cut hours and stuff. And that's so stressful. Now you're like, how am I going to get the money and stuff? Right. He's not the type of kid to need that stress on him. So I told my boss, I said, you got him off. I haven't seen him in a couple of days. She was like, well, yeah, we're cutting hours. I said, he doesn't need to be off days in a row. I said, if anything, every other day, but not, days in a row. And so he talked to me about his money situation and stuff, and he was saying, hey, yeah, it's just going, But one day he came in, and he had shopping bags. He had just went. Now this guy, he never went anywhere. He had shopping bags. He came in. He got this huge plate to eat because we were in a restaurant. So he got this huge plate to eat. We were all walking, talking around him, and we were looking. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You having a good day? He was like, I'm having a great day. I'm about to go to the movies, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And I was like, okay, I see you. And next day I came to work, and my boss pulled me to the side, and she said, hey, I need you to come with me. And I already knew what it was. For some reason, hit me, and I said, this is him. He was just, It's just terrible.
Wow.
But everybody, we were all so broken by it. It was like we thought he was doing better.
Right.
But that was just his way out.
That's crazy.
And so yeah, we can have depression around us and not even know it.
Man, so it was like that was like his last hurrah. Like it was like, yeah, I'm gonna party. Like, 'cause I guess he was looking forward to not having to worry about stuff anymore or whatever. And that's interesting because, like you said, he never went anywhere. So like before that, he didn't see a reason to, or he couldn't be motivated, to go out and have a good time and stuff. But then when he was like, oh, I got a solution, then, he was able to do that. And when you were talking about that, it made me think about the series that our minister is doing right now on hope. And he was talking about, I never really thought about it like that, but he was saying like, just general hope is, you kind of, you're wanting, or, I'm trying to think of another word besides hopeful, but you're hoping, you kind of have like, you're wishing that, this positive outcome, happens. But you don't know if it is or not. And then he was saying, like, with hope in Christ as a Christian, you are looking forward and expecting God to fulfill promises that he's already made, to do things that he's already told you that he's going to do, which biblically, is going to be, he said, don't worry about what you're going to eat. Don't worry about, what you're going to wear. I'm going to give you the Holy Spirit. I'm always going to be with you. I'm going to guide you. And, you got eternal life. Those are the things that he has, without a doubt, has promised. And it's like, okay, okay, the world is messed up right now, but, I know God is with me. I know he's still watching out. He's not going to allow anything that's not part of, his plan, or, he's not going to let me get into something that he can't take care of. And even though I see all these people getting away with stuff now, he is going to, he is going to make it right one day. Jesus is coming back. He's going to take all the people that stay faithful, that believe in him, and we're going to have a hallelujah good time in eternity.
Yeah.
No matter how long we live here, if we live 100 years, we're going to be in eternity with him, and it's going to be like perfect, and no more pain, and no more tears, and no more sickness. Nobody's going to die anymore.
He's coming back to give us relief.
Yes. Relief. Exactly.
It's relief.
Hey ladies, are you a phenomenal woman already doing wonderful things, but looking to be intentional on leveling up when it comes to becoming a wife, aka That Good Thing? Well, check out That Good Thing exclusive community with Coach Kimberly Cleveland. She is the Good Thing guru. Let me tell you, I went through this mentorship last year and it literally was life-changing for me. So there are weekly reflection questions that are emailed out on printable worksheets, weekly group check-ins via Zoom every Sunday evening. You get to converse and discuss the topics and everything and your experiences with the other women that are going through the coaching with you in a private community. There's also monthly training by relationship experts one Sunday each month. And if you mention 99 Ways to Win, you will get a free 30-minute one-on-one session with Kim Cleveland. So you want to make sure you act today because the next cohort starts on January the 14th. Email thewifeuniversity@gmail.com. That's thewifeuniversity@gmail.com. Mention 99 Ways to Win so you can get that free 30-minute session, and you will thank me later.
Yes, so like hope in that, hearing you say that, it was made me think, it was like, okay, so that should be why we as Christians can keep going. Not that we don't get sad, not that we don't even get depressed, but at some point we still like, okay, it's going to be okay. Because I know God is going to do it, and I know he's doing this. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow. I don't know. It just really kind of connected when you were talking about that.
We have to have the right mindset, though. Okay? So we're not having... Okay, so a lot of years I've been lukewarm. Okay? Lukewarm. Just, barely escaped. Like, okay, we good, But when I went through one of my worst moments in life, I hear people all the time, he ain't going to put more on you, all the little cliches. And I call them cliches because the mindset is wrong.
Okay.
Like,
talk to me.
So I'm thinking when I was going through my worst time, right? And you know what that is, but it's just like one of the worst.
Running from Deliverance episode. Go back and listen to it, y'all, if you ain't listened to it. Yes. Goodness.
The straw that broke the camel's back. You know what I mean? Where it was like, wait a minute, this is not what God told me that life is. This ain't it. Like, something's wrong here. So now I got to get in the Bible, because I'm like, wait a minute, where's this peace? Where's this love? Because what I thought was that when you get in church and you do the right thing, everything that you want, or things that, I was listening to a few prosperity preachers, things that
make it all better. Everything's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, just give him more money and then we straight. You know what I mean? Like, everything. Real talk. Like, I mean, I was few of those, because I was, what, you're right. God will do it, but and God will do things. What things is he doing?
Excuse me.
So when you don't have the right mindset that God not necessarily doing things for us per se. Everything he does is for his glory. That's it, that's all. Now he can use you. He gonna use you for his glory. That's nothing. So whether it means that, man, I'm going through this and I'm going through this, like, if you just look over your life, look at everything that you've been through, and you pinpoint when it was the worst, and when you kind of look back and smiled at it and said, okay, that happened, but where am I right now? Are you giving God the glory? And if you are, it worked. You know what I mean? Like, it worked. So we got to stop thinking that I'm going to pray for a new car and I'm going to get it. I mean, it's not like that. It's deeper than that. It's way deeper than that. Now, if that new car is going to get you to take about 6 different people to church every Sunday, you might get the new car, because that's the plan, right? But it's just, everything has to be done. Again, in Proverbs, most of the things that they're talking about in there is just how to live life, how to put the Lord first in all your plans. Okay, that was the goals. If you put the Lord first, what happens? He will straighten your path. I believe it's in Proverbs. I can't remember exactly what verse it is, but, he will straighten your path. So the key is putting him first, not your stuff, not your selfishness, not your this and that and this and that. It's put the Lord first. Everything falls into place. And so we just have to empty ourselves.
And, and that's beautiful, everything that you said. And I will say that, sometimes he does give us things that we want, and, you may pray for the car, and even if you're not planning on taking 6 Although I will say, one of the things I wanted to make sure when I got, when I switched from my Mustang, my 2-door little Mustang, I was like, I do want a a bigger car, not just for my family, but I was like also because like, okay, Lord, help me to use this to, help people, give them a ride, give them a ride home from church, whatever. But He'll give you things too that are just you just want them for you. But like you said, when your focus is on the Lord, you're not going to idolize that thing or hold on to it too tight or be like, well, this mine, I'm not going to use it for anybody else. I'm not going to share. Or I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you were talking, it made me think about that, the scripture that people quote all the time, Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Now, New International Version says works for the good of those who love him. In King James, let me go back. Do you know your alphabet, Michelle? You're going the right way. King James says, just work together for good to them that love God. But, we read that and we hear it and we think, okay, this is going to work out for my good. Something better is going to come or whatever.
That's hope, Michelle.
Or financially. And sometimes it does. What'd you say?
That's hope.
Yeah, but what, touching on going with what you're saying, what we need to remember spiritually is like, okay, everything's going to work for our good. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to feel good.
Yeah.
Or look good. Because the ultimate good is to be more like Christ.
Yes.
And so when we look at Christ, an example that he set is like, okay, he suffered, he fell back, he didn't worry about, this is the creator of the universe, and he come back and like people sleeping on him, people thinking they dissing him. They're like, oh, who is this? He goes back to Nazareth and, announces, the scripture is fulfilled in your ears, basically telling them he's the Messiah. And they're like, what, who you think you are? We know your mama Mary. We know your daddy Joseph. What are you talking about? Who do you think you are? And it's like and he took that because he knew, okay, it's not time for me to set them straight like that. I can't, like you said, I could call down angels when they went to arrest him. He's like, I could call down angels. Put your sword up. I got to go through this. So for us to be like him, we're going to have to go through some things, some inconveniences, being done wrong and handle it the right way. You know what I mean? And if we don't handle it the right way, then we learn from it, ask forgiveness and it's like, okay, Lord, I didn't do that quite right. Help me to do better. But I guess that's my point is, and, I don't always think about it like that, but hearing you talk about it just reminded me, like, when we think about everything is going to work for our good, that means having a Christ-like character.
Yes, absolutely.
So learning that humility and long-suffering, that is for our good.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good when we get taught that lesson, but then, as you learn it, though, it's like, okay, all right. And you do have more peace because you become closer to God. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then, the next time that it doesn't bother you as much when they say this or do this or you don't get that because you're like, okay, it's all good because I'm not hung up on this stuff down here. So, no, that was good. I'm so glad you brought that out. I do want to go back with your coworker. I wanted to know, did you deal with or did any of your coworkers talk about dealing with guilt that you didn't see it coming, that you didn't know, that you couldn't stop him from doing it?
I think there's mixed emotions in with everybody at the time. Some people that would go out drinking with him felt guilt. You know what I mean? Because they weren't that friend.
So they felt like, oh, why didn't I see it? Because I actually hang out with him.
Why didn't I see this?
Oh, why didn't he open up to me? Did he not trust me enough? Was I not a good enough friend?
Or was I just a fun buddy?
Mm.
You know, it made them reflect on what type of friend they were to him. You know,
Wow.
with me, it was even my boss probably felt guilty. Falon told me not to put him off 2 days in a row, and that was his second day off that he did it.
Mm.
Second day. So, you know, and it was just like, me, I felt immense sadness for anybody that feels like that's the only way to be. There has to be something else at that point. You know what I mean? Like they're so far down to where this can't be it. And the reason why I feel that way is because I felt that way.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way out of here. You know, and so I felt sadness, but I also felt I knew he was going to do that. Because I told him 3 years ago he was going to do it. You know,
let me ask. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting you because I know somebody listening. They think like, okay, well, you told him he's suicidal. You planted the seed. Why you say that? Like, what would you say to that? Like, why did you say it? And
to let him know.
Why did you say that to him?
Because I wanted him to feel that he wasn't alone. It was more of, I see you, and I understand how you feel. Because sometimes we walk past people all the time, you know, and people think that they're not being looked at or whatever, but I see you so much that I see that in you. You know what I mean? It was like one of those things where I just need to tell him, watch yourself. You know, I mean, like, it was just.
So, like, did you say other stuff, or you just like, oh, you suicidal, and then y'all just walked? Like, did y'all talk about it, or did you share, like, that you struggled with depression?
It opened the door for him to talk about depression later on.
Okay,
so it was more in passing. I was young too, though.
Yeah.
I was 20-some years old too, so I didn't understand what I was necessarily saying. A lot of times, and again, why you love me so much is I just speak.
Like when you say, "What's up, pimpin'?"
So, you know, I just speak it out, and whatever happens after that happens, you know. So it was more like I was looking at him, and I was just like, "You're suicidal."
Yeah, and he knew. And to be clear, like I said, I did want to address it because I know somebody might think that, you know, depending on where their head is, or like you're like, oh, wait. But you know, even though when you retell it or whatever, it may sound a certain way, but like when you and him were interacting, like he knew where you was coming from, like he knew you wouldn't, like, you know.
He eventually figured it.
At the end of the day, it's like still somebody's choice. Like, no matter what you do, even if you say all the quote unquote right things and you're there for them and they know you would listen, like they still make their decision. You know, they still make their decision.
Yeah, he was. I mean, over the years, we had a couple different conversations, you know, and we talked about depression, and the crazy thing is he never mentioned suicide.
Now, did he go to counseling? Did he take any medication, or he just tried to deal with it on his own?
He tried to deal with it on his own. He tried to deal with it on his own. Every once in a while, again, like I was saying about the blow-ups. He'd have the blow-ups, and then, you know, we talk to you then after you, you know, but, you know, it was just like if something was really wrong with him, you can tell. Yeah. And so now you're going to him like, hey, you okay? You know, but it's too late by then. It's too late. This person has already sat and wallowed in everything. And so now they're just acting it out. So now he didn't even process half the stuff he was going through. He just kept beating him up, you know. But he never mentioned suicide to me.
Wow.
Never. Like, he never mentioned it. The only time we talked about that was when I told him, and then left it alone. He never said anything about it. He said he was sad sometimes and things like that. He was lonely. And we talk about that, but other than that, he never mentioned suicide. And
he
no,
never said like, he never said like, man, you know, I just feel like it's why am I even here, or it'd be easier if I wasn't here, or he never said anything to tip you off that like he was thinking about that.
I knew he was thinking about it.
Yeah, I knew you. Yeah, but he never like said anything.
He never said it. He never said it. If anything, say it on the other end. Like, you know, people just don't. I don't know why I don't have anybody. He wouldn't. You know what I mean? He wouldn't say.
He would talk about the things he was frustrated about.
Right. You know, and so we talk about that, but and I'm pretty sure he talked to other people too. Right. You know, at work. But we were young at the time. We were like in our 20s, and we were in a restaurant. So what's the thing you do when you're sad? Let's go drink. So now, even though I was young.
The funny thing is, alcohol is a depressant, and people do that on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
But we learned that in school. It's a depressant.
Yes, absolutely. And see, that's the thing. I just happened to have kids at the time during that age. So I couldn't go out do as much as everybody else. I probably would have with him, you know, and with everybody else, the whole crew, you know. And every once in a while I did go with them, but for the most part, everybody was just kids.
Man.
So it's just, so you think about, why do people get New Year's depression, like what you said, you know, the New Year's blues. Is it the blue? What is it called?
The January blues.
January blues.
They call it the January blues. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about, why do people get depressed? You know, what's going on in the brain? So besides the hustle and bustle, that's a really good one. But a lot of times people get with death, like you said with your mom. These are a year first. But, you know, people say the year first, but they don't realize this is every year.
Yeah, it just looks a little different. Like, you know, obviously the year she passed was the roughest. And then, you know, the following year, it was a little bit better. And here we are, you know, with it being, and it's great. Like, in a way, it seems like a long time ago, but it is like, it was 2021 and it's just 2023. So it's only been 2 years since it happened. So this is my third holiday season, but like, it's like, you know, I didn't get like depressed, but I had to realize, and it's crazy. And I remember before we started recording, you were talking about, you know, being aware of how you're feeling, and then asking yourself why you're feeling that way, and being gentle with yourself, which is something that the Lord blessed me to realize that I needed to do with myself a few months ago. It's like, you know, be it just came to me like, Michelle, be kind to yourself. Which sounds cheesy, gay, you know, whatever. Like, oh, be kind to yourself. But for real, I needed to, because because you can like be like, you can be aware of what's going on, but then say, well, you need to snap out, or you shouldn't feel that way, or why are you? And that's not being kind. That's not being patient, and it's not helpful. As opposed to being aware of it, like, okay, I'm feeling kind of down, but it doesn't really seem like there's a reason why, you know, and it's be like, okay, well, I just, you know, I feel that way. Okay. No, that's okay. Yeah. All right, let me redirect my mind, or let me pray, or let me put on a song, or let me, you know, whatever. But also knowing when you need to just let yourself feel that for a little while. Because we can rush, you know, you can, you know, you don't want to be steeped in it and just sit and wallow in depression, or wallow in anger or unforgiveness or loneliness. You don't want to wallow in it, but we do need to allow ourselves to feel the emotion and process it and think through it. Okay, what came to mind just now was the hospital where my mom had her surgery to remove her tumor in 2015. You know, it was in the downtown Fort Worth area. And I realized a while back that, like, when I would drive by it or something, like, I felt like a little weird. But but I'm not near there that often. But this particular day, I think it was a Saturday or something, I had dropped Karen off to go to some college ministry thing, some kind of outing, and this is funny. This is me. This is the life of Michelle. So I was trying to pay for parking because we went to this restaurant to eat before she went there or whatever. And so, like, you know, it was this digital thing, whatever, and I'm trying to pay for this parking spot where we're going to be eating. And it was a similarly named thing on the app, a similarly named location that wasn't that garage, and I paid for it. And then I realized, oh, this is not where we are, but I'd already paid for it. So after I dropped her off, I said, well, I guess I'll go over there and park and see if I can walk around or something because I already paid for this spot. So I drive over there and find the thing. It's like, oh, I know this neighborhood. And so I parked, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get out and walk around. I got some free time. It's nice outside.
Use parking spot.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't already pay for it. And so as I was walking, I ended up going over there by the hospital. And I remember feeling like just kind of like a little bit of unease or whatever. And so I was like, okay, let me deal with this. And so I walk over there, and they had like a little, kind of like a miniature courtyard. There's a fountain. There was like a, excuse me, a couple of benches or whatever. And so I just kind of walked. And at first I just was over there and just noticing how I felt. And then I thought about it. I was like, okay, this is where it all started, because after she had to, got the surgery, and then she was in ICU for a while, and then like she never was the same after she came out. Her mobility went down, and it's like I just started kind of thinking about how different things unfolded, different things that happened, and it was like, oh man, like 2015, and now we're in she passed in 2021. That's only 6 years. It's like we went through a lot of stuff in 6 years, and I had really not thought about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in that sense of, like, in 6 years' time, you saw your mom, like, go down, and then you dealing with the kids, and then, like, then it got to the point where it seemed like every other year some, like, major health event was happening, and you're trying to deal with all of this stuff. And it's like, man, that's a lot to deal with. But at the time, you deal with it. Not that I wasn't talking about it or reflecting and praying, but, like, in retrospect, when you have time, like, the space, it is like, oh, bro, that was a lot. And it's like, okay, I realized, okay, yeah, now I feel that way when I come by here because this is like, that was like the kind of where it started in a sense. But yeah, just thinking about that. And then like I sat down and just kind of like processed, kind of some of the things and some of the stuff that I didn't have time to think about of like how it affected me because I had to focus on making sure I was taking care of the kids, taking care of her, working. You know what I mean? So just to really reflect, man, yeah, that was tough. You know what I mean? That was tough. And I don't know how long I spent over there, maybe 10 minutes to 15, I don't know. And then it was like, okay, it's like, cool, But I needed that, as opposed to just be like, oh, yeah, I feel weird. Well, no, you shouldn't feel that way because, everything. I needed to do that.
Yeah.
So we do need to let ourselves feel things, and allow that to happen, and then move on, for sure.
Well, that was your reflection.
Exactly.
Again, that's your reflection. How do we grow if we don't reflect? So you actually, I'm so proud of you for one. That is huge. The fact that you even recognized there's something amiss here. Not wrong, amiss. You know what I mean? Like there's
I like that.
shaky here. What's going on? So let me go touch. Let me go feel. Let me go see what this is. And you sit there and you realize, as you're reflecting, you realize you were living those 6 years probably on autopilot.
I was in survival mode, girl.
Yeah.
I was, yeah.
So, yeah. So how do you fix that mistake? Because we don't want to go through that again. Because what did autopilot really do for you? Like, it got you through it, but now you're feeling uneasy going past buildings.
Yeah. And I think Well, there were some things that I could have done to take better care of myself, I do believe. And I started to do those things like probably the last couple of years, of our life, or when things started declining. But at the same time, I think I did okay. I do think I did okay, and to a certain extent, like the way that I went through it, like probably a lot of it could not really have been avoided in some ways, because it's just like you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when I will say, I just thank God for my family, my sisters and brothers, my friends, my church family. But like I had a group of friends that I had a text group that was specifically like, it was a couple of my siblings and several of my friends that, like, when I had a prayer request about her, or I just kind of needed to vent a little bit, I would text in that group, and they'd be like, okay, okay, that's okay, keep your head up, I'm praying for you, whatever. Like, yep, mom tripping today, blah blah blah, or she fell, I got to take her to the emergency room. Please pray for me. And I would talk to people at church, and like the minister's wife, I would talk to her sometimes about stuff, and she would encourage me, because if she's further along, they're older, so she was like, okay, kind of get advice and stuff. But I think to some extent, it is what it is, and it's normal. And it's just like, she has passed on now. My kids are older now, so like I have more bandwidth to even think about some of these things. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a bandwidth before to think about it in the way that I do now. So, we have seasons. We got seasons,
Yeah, we do. And, reflection is important, and I'm just saying this, like, for yourself, in yourself, with your own body, but you reflect on other people too. And, I know we're not supposed to be focused on other people, but sometimes things that other people go through are things that you can reflect on to better your life, So.
Oh, absolutely. You can learn from other people's experiences, no doubt. We're supposed to.
Yeah, I honestly, I will get behind that. Just for one, like you talking about your mother, and then, recently we just had my uncle pass, and he was like this huge part of our family, like a really big part of our family. So, I watched my cousin with the grief. It's heavy. And I'm actually reflecting on them right now. I just now I run to my mom's house all the time. I talk to her every day. All the pictures and stuff that they have of their father, that's big to me, because it's like, man, y'all got pictures, because my father is not here, so, or he's alive, but he's not around. So watching them post pictures of their father and things like that, and it's like, man, do I have that many pictures of my mom? Just stuff like that, and it's like, it brings it closer.
It makes you realize, I want to adjust a little bit, because let me
big time
be intentional about doing some things differently, so that I build that bond. I have this history. I have these pictures to look back at. Yeah. No, that's good.
So they're going through. A lot of people are, and so it definitely will help you adjust what you need to tweak in your own life, So I tell people all the time, I see so many people that have lost their mothers and their fathers,
Yeah, we're at that age where that, that's happening once you get in your 40s or so.
Right. and it's sad and it's scary, and it's like all I can tell them is, I don't look forward to this day. I don't. Yeah. I don't want that, but even that, I've reflected on my mother and our relationship with the Lord together. So I talk more to her about the Lord, because I do believe that there is some comfort in knowing that she went with the Lord. You know what I mean? So I try to, I definitely try to, just reflection is big. Yeah. Reflection is big. You won't get to the next level until, so you have to be honest with yourself too.
You do.
So, do you need something that's going to be uplifting, an easy read, but worth your time? Check out Joyfully Courageous. This is a devotional that I was a part of that has reflection questions, stories of multiple women from across the country, all different walks of life and different experiences. Go to 99waystoWin.com so you can order an autographed copy from me, Joyfully Courageous. Hey everybody, I want to invite you to my Divine Discussions prayer call that happens every third Saturday at 7:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. This is an informal, personal call where we have a brief biblical message, we have a discussion, and then we actually pray for each other. All you have to do is dial 351-999-3267. That's 351-999-3267. Hope to see you there.
Before we wrap this up, I'm going to touch on these tips that they have in this article. Again, this is from psychcentral.com. Let me see. So it says how to cope with the January blues. 1, keep track of your social calendar. Now, you got to do what works for you. Now, and this is talking about like holiday event fatigue. So it's like if you're an introvert or, like you can get overwhelmed and stuff like that. And me, I guess I'm mostly an introvert, but I'm an extrovert. I'm a people-loving introvert. So like I do love to socialize and stuff like that, but I also like to have my quiet time, and then I have to pay attention to when I've had enough, because like I want to go do everything, and then like I'm tired. Yeah. And so whichever side of the fence you fall on, so like if you know that it's going to wear you out, it's talking about how like, okay, don't say yes to every event. You don't need to go to everything. But then you were talking about how once everything dies down, then you can get sad. And so if you need that interaction, you need like a certain amount of whatever, then it's like, okay, it talks about like planning ahead. So like, okay, hey, let me make sure, I make a friend date, or I go out somewhere, to a public place, eat, whatever, walk in the park, plan those outings so you can be around people and you're not just sitting at home. You know what I mean? And, it is colder in January, so you may not, want to go to the park. I don't like the cold myself, but maybe you can go to the mall and walk around, or, you can do whatever, figure something out where you can be around some people, or go, hang out at one of your relatives' house or your friend's house or something like that. So you're getting that social interaction. Getting sunlight.
Man.
To me, this is so big, because I know I'm hyper and I got energy and everything, like in the summertime and when the days are long. I love that. And then like when I get off of work, I can go walk, because like it's still, in Texas, North Texas, it's like at 7:30, 8 o'clock, it's still light outside, as we say. During the summer, until maybe a few weeks before the time changes, because we're closer to the west coast or whatever. I know you're in Arkansas, so it's funny you reminded me of like before my mom moved to Texas with us, I would be on the phone with her, and I remember one time I was talking to her, and it was probably around 7, and she was like, "Oh, well, what the kids do?" They were little then, because we're talking about like probably 2009 or something when I was talking to her on the phone, and her health was better back then. And I was like, yeah, they're outside playing. She said, they're outside at this time of night? Isn't it dark? I said, no, there's still daylight out over here. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, oh, well, in Memphis, it's dark already. Right. Like, well, in Texas, it's not yet. But anyway, yeah, sunlight is a big thing for me. It really is.
Solar baby.
Yeah, definitely brightens my mood. And then, like, you know, in sunlight, which people don't think about, like, it helps you create vitamin D in your body, which affects your health and your immune system. It affects your mood. So I do have to be more intentional about that. I need to do better now that the days are shorter, especially since I get off, like, kind of later, because I start late, so I get off at, like, 6, and it's like, okay, it's already dark. So, like, and I work from home, so I don't have to leave at a house.
Ooh.
There's a blessing and a curse. So what I have to do is make sure that, okay, let me take a break, or when I go to lunch, let me go outside and get some fresh air. Let me go outside and get some sunlight, take a quick walk, because they don't have that on here. But for me, like the physical activity, it talks about lower physical activity can be a cause or a contributor to being depressed. And I definitely feel that. Like, I may not be sad, but it's just like I don't have the same energy or excitement, or I feel like a little off if I haven't been going out walking.
It's great.
And so, yeah.
Great. So, you know, I don't know if you've seen that movie Inside Out, where they got the little...
Yes. Oh, that movie was so good. Inside Out.
It's a beautiful movie.
That's an excellent movie. We watched that when the kids were younger, and that is a very good movie. Like, that actually is that should be like on a required viewing list for anybody. Even if you don't have kids, watch Inside Out. But if you do have kids, watch it with them, because it really helps you, like, understand about, like, how different emotions interact within you. And then, like, just the whole thing of, like, how, you know, the happiness thought, you know, wanted. And for those who don't know what we're talking about, there's, like, they basically have a personification of these different major emotions, like happiness, sadness, anger. And then was there a fear?
Disgust and a fear.
Okay. And so they're inside this little girl, and, like, you know, you see them interacting and talking and doing things, which is the reason behind, you know, how she's acting. And so happiness wants the girl to be happy all the time. Doesn't want her to pull up any of the sad memories. And you come to realize, you know, at the end, it is like, okay, no, she needs those, you know, and it's like, hey, wait, like, it can't just be all this one thing. And so going back to what we're talking about, reflection and all this other stuff, and being mindful, as they say, you do have to let yourself feel those different things. You know, don't stay too long in one or the other. You know, don't be, if, you know, you got to do what you need to do. Okay, the other tips: taking a break from social media. Social media can be a wonderful place of connection and community, but it can also promote unhealthy mindsets and culture, specifically diet and exercise culture. Me personally, and I do realize that I'm blessed with a wonderful metabolism. Thank you, Abraham Washington, my dad. So I've always been slim. So I personally don't necessarily have an issue with that, and I see plenty of women that look much more cuter than me, prettier than me. Their hair, their natural hair is like better than mine, but, you know, that's okay. But I'm still Kurt. That's okay. There's always going to be somebody that looks better. Don't look at me like that. I'm not saying I look bad. I'm just saying I see people that are like, oh man, wow. And to be honest, some of that stuff is like, I'm not going to put in the work to look like that. So I'm okay that you look like that, because I'm not going to sit there and do their makeup, and I'm not going to do what it takes to have long natural hair that's not locked, because it's a lot of work. So God bless you. But that being said, I did have to pull back from social media, just because you have to allow yourself your brain time to rest, your eyes time to rest, and, like, just do other things. Because if you're just on there scrolling, reading this, reading that, you can just kind of get into this mindless thing of just constantly reading stuff and looking at stuff. Because I used to be on there for hours, especially when I first got into Facebook. Are you raising up the finger like when you get ready to go to church? When you got to go to church?
It's place food. I just get up and go. But actually, no, I don't. I just sit there and torture myself. Because I don't want to, you know, I'm all extra overthinking. But
Oh my gosh.
But that is actually a symptom of anxiety. So I can get home at 3:00 in the afternoon and sit in my car for hours without moving.
Whoa.
Just on my phone. Not caring about what it is that I'm looking at, but it's the
distraction.
It's frozen. It's called, I think it's called freeze, like you're in freeze mode.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with anxiety and you get into a freeze mode, something that can help, and I know it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but I have done it, and it works.
Right.
So let me explain this. When you're in that mode, when you're in scroll mode, there is the reason why you're still there, because it's like something telling you need to get off this phone. You need to move. Okay? So now you're having a conflict in your brain, which creates more anxiety. So now you're like, I'm a failure, and I'm scrolling, and I can't get off. It's terrible. It's awful. It's like an oxymoron in your head. Like everything is going against. It's just not. It's not happening. You know what I mean? So that's going on in your head, and you're like, I really need to get off of here. I need to get out of here. I need to do this. I got to cook. I got to do this. Adding more stress, adding more anxiety, all the things that you have to do. And so what I have done, and it's actually some research on it. I can't remember exactly where it comes from, but what I do is, if I can get it, because be kind to yourself. Again, sometimes even doing the things to get you away from the thing that you're trying to get away from is difficult to do.
Yes.
So even that is hard to do. Like, it's so terrible. But I slam my phone down. I literally have to make myself put my phone down. I stand up immediately, and I just
shake yourself out of it. That makes sense though, because what's the dude's name? Tony Robbins. I used to listen to him back in the day when I was discovering all this motivational personal development stuff. And one of the things he talks about is breaking the pattern. Breaking, interrupting the thought or whatever. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. It's got to be abrupt, because you're not getting out of it naturally, gradually. So it's got to be abrupt, like, oh.
You have to do that.
It's a reset. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it works sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, but when I say it doesn't work, I'm saying that I didn't do it.
So it's not that it didn't work. Sometimes you do it and sometimes you don't.
Yeah,
you got to make yourself do it.
Yeah, you have to make yourself do that. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Like, you're just going to be stuck there. And now, after you finally finish and you start doing what you're supposed to do, now you're in this anxiety of, I should have did this 20 minutes ago. Yeah, an hour ago.
And you got to let that go. Yeah, you got to be like, okay. And, so an example of that, and what do you call it? Reframing. So I was cleaning, and I was cleaning something, and it was like I'd been putting it off, and then I finally did it, and then there was the stain, and it was mostly gone, but there was a little bit of it that was still there, and then I was like, see, this is your fault, because if you had done it when you were supposed to, it wouldn't be this hard to get off. And then I said, okay. I was like, okay, I should have done this sooner.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it now, and I'm taking care of it now. And then I just might have to put in a little extra work to finish getting this cleaned up. I had to, because I was beating myself up, and it's like, okay, I do still need to. Yes, I am accountable. I need to take responsibility, but I need to say this in a way that's kind, It's true, but it's kind. So it's like, okay, it was my responsibility. I waited too long, but I'm cleaning it now, and it just might take a little extra work to get it. It'll be okay. And I felt better because I could feel the difference between how I was feeling when I was like, this is your fault, you should have did it. And when I switched it, I felt it.
Mercy.
It's very subtle. It's really subtle. Like, I wasn't getting depressed or anything, but like, I could feel the difference. And so like we definitely have to do those things. We got to do those things. I mean, and if you look at Jesus, sometimes people people can go way one way and way the other way. They can be very legalistic and domineering and mean, or they can be, oh, everything's okay and I don't hold you accountable for anything.
Too far for that, yeah.
Like, either one of those is right, but like the people like to talk about the woman that was caught in adultery, and he did. He said, okay, where you can, they brought her and was like, hey, she was caught in the act of adultery. They didn't bring the man, but they brought the woman and said, oh, she was caught in the act of adultery, meaning they were actually getting it on. And they caught both of them, but they brought her to Jesus. Like, okay, well, the law says you're supposed to stone her. And he was like, okay, well, whichever one of you has not sinned, you go ahead and throw the first stone. They did have sense enough and conviction enough that they were like, oh, well, yeah, I know I done did something, so I'm not going to throw, because it was Jesus. So they were like, oh, well, I'm not going to sit up here and lie in front of him and be like, I haven't sinned. I know I've sinned. And then they walk away. And so Jesus tells the lady, where are your condemners? And she's like, they're gone. And he's like, okay, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. So he showed mercy by not having her stoned, but he also held her accountable and told her, okay, don't go do that again. And one of the lame people that he healed, I don't remember exactly which account it is, but one of the lame people he healed him. Then when he saw him again, he said, don't sin anymore lest a worse thing come upon thee. So he told, like, he healed him. He didn't require, like, hey, is you finna get your life right. He just went and healed him when he healed him. But then when he went and talked to him again, he was like, hey, okay, don't sin anymore. Something worse gonna happen. So we are still supposed to hold ourselves accountable because God holds us accountable.
Right.
It's the way that we do it. It's the way that we do it. Let me see. We got a couple more things, and we're gonna get ready to close this out. Plan something to look forward to in January. Plan things in advance, like a social event, a night with friends, or a solo trip, like visiting your favorite bookstore or coffee shop. So, like, be proactive. You know what you like to do? Plan it ahead of time. And we kind of talked about this already. The other tip is it's okay to experience low mood. Part of banishing the January blues may be accepting it's okay and natural to feel down this time of year, which actually reminds me of something that it says earlier in the article. Let me scroll to that real quick. Okay, it says, the modern world is less accepting of what was once acknowledged as a natural dip in energy levels during the winter months. Now, with electricity, heating, and air systems in our productivity-driven world, we don't really accept this as normal, healthy change, which creates feelings of shame and frustration around what could be viewed as a beneficial period of rest and reflection, says this psychologist or whatever that they interviewed. But I thought that was really interesting and something that we also need to pay attention to because, we're in this Western culture and in America in particular where it's like, go, be on the grind, put in the work, don't stop, do this, do that. You got to be everywhere. You got to be doing everything. You got to be, and there's nobody's exempt, even if you're like a stay-at-home mom, and it's like, well, if you're staying at home, then you should also be homeschooling, or if you're homeschooling, then you should also be doing this, and you should be making these I remember I was listening to this podcast, and the lady was saying, I forgot the name of it. It's like Leap. It's a really good podcast. I can't remember the name of it. The lady's name is Rachel Scott, but she said she was feeling guilty because she felt like she wasn't doing as much as the other moms, even when she was homeschooling. And it's like, you can always compare yourself to somebody else and think you're supposed to be doing more and more and more. Right. And it's like, no, we need to do what it is God gave us to do and what he gave us the capacity to do, and in the season that we're in. Because the stuff that I'm doing now with an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old that is away in the Air Force is not what I could do when they were 7 and 8, or when they were 12 and 13.
Yeah.
The season that you're in, because you got a teenager and an elementary school, when they're older, 10 years from now, you're going to be in a different season. You can do different things. So we have to realize that, too. We got to realize what season we're in.
That's a big one. I did want to circle back to what you said about the planning something. I think a lot of people don't know what real introverts and real extroverts are. If people really only put that on the surface, like they'll say, "Oh, I'm an extrovert. I love people. I'm an introvert. I hate people."
Yeah, and it's those two extremes, and it's like it's not that simple.
It's not that simple, because I love people.
Ditto.
But to be able to recharge, I have to be by myself.
Exactly.
That's an introvert. To recharge. I can use my whole battery on people, and they'll never guess that,
yeah.
I'm ready to go.
And I don't know if you like me, but sometimes I don't realize that my battery is down because I'm enjoying being with them. And then it's like when I get over, like, oh, wait, okay. Like my arm is twitching and I'm feeling tired. Like, oh, wait, I need to rest. Okay.
Yes. So I just wanted to say, when you plan something, again, all of this goes hand in hand. The anxiety of, even though it's something you want to do. I mean, there are things that I want to do that I probably planned on going out to lunch with somebody that morning or 2 days ago. And now that it's about time to go, I have anxiety.
Wow.
It's not that I don't want to go. It's the unknown or something like that. It's just, it's.
Wow, that's good. I'm glad you said that. It doesn't mean that, like, it's, like there's something against that person or that event. It's just, wow.
We got to learn. We got to learn ourselves and figure out the best way for us to go to it. So plan something, right? They say plan something. So, I may plan something. But guess what? If I don't go, then I'm not going. And
that's okay.
And it's okay.
Right. If you realize that, you know what, I don't need to do. Oh, come on now. So basically you're saying, like, you plan this outing, you're supposed to be meeting up with this friend, and the day comes and you realize, like, you just really, you don't need to go, or you're not feeling it, or you're tired, or whatever it is. It's okay to say, hey, I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to meet up in a couple of hours, but I'm not going to be able to make it.
That happened to me 3 months ago. My friend texted me, and I call her a friend. And the reason why I call her a friend is because we've known each other since we were probably in the 3rd grade.
Dang.
But we barely talk.
But every time y'all talk, you just pick right up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we probably talk twice a year. That's a friend to me, because we both got stuff going on,
Right.
But
right.
She was like, "Hey, you want to go to Dave and Buster's with me? They're having adult game night." So I was like,
"Oh, cool."
Right. So I was like, "That sounds awesome. Yes, I'm into that. I'm into fun." So I'm getting ready, and as I get ready, there's a feeling that comes over me. I immediately start having a panic attack.
Whoa.
Uncontrollable. And now I'm thinking, because before that I had told her, yes, I'm ready. Go ahead and come. She was going to come get me. And she lives far. But she wanted to come get me, go past the Dave and Buster's.
To come
get me so that we can ride together.
Aww.
And she was on her way. So now I'm having a panic attack. My face, bloodshot red. Crying.
Wow.
everything. I'm like, oh my God, and now she's gonna be mad. And I'm out.
It's okay. Take your time.
She pulled up, and I was freaking out in my house, and she pulled up, and she called me to say, hey, girl, you ready? And I said, she can hear it.
Yeah.
And I said, yes.
In the middle of a panic attack. You say, yeah, I'm ready.
I come outside. She looks at me and she says, I'm not mad.
Oh.
You can stay home.
Thank you, Jesus.
She said, I understand. I'm not mad. I love you. And she could see it all over my face.
That's a friend.
And so be kind to people. It goes a long way. I love her still. She even called the next day to check on me. You know, some people gonna stay mad at you. They say they're not mad and then they get mad, you know, or whatever. Right. I wasted my gas, you know. But she
would be so selfish. Like,
yeah.
That's not anything that you planned. You can't help that.
Right. She called me the next day checking on me. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm sorry. Don't you apologize. She was just so, you know, so if you plan something and you're not able to go through with it, it's okay.
Wow.
It's okay. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Thank you for sharing that. Speaking of sharing, so everybody that's listening to this, make sure you share this episode with somebody. Make sure you share this episode with somebody. Share it with somebody that you know may be going through something like that. Share it with somebody that you know loves on people and talks to people, because they may be good. They may not deal with any of this, but this can help them understand what people are going through.
Yeah.
And kind of, you know, the mindset and how to approach certain things. But please share this on Facebook, share this on Instagram, share it, you know, text the link. Make sure y'all are spreading this, because we're just trying to, you know, we're trying to edify the body of Christ, but also just, you know, put light into the world. Just whoever, whether if you ain't a Christian or whatever, it doesn't matter. We're sharing stuff that's going to be valuable, no matter, you know, what your beliefs are. Like, we all deal with these things. We all deal with mental health. We all deal with stress. We all deal with anxiety on some level, you know, or we have somebody that is dealing with it. So, yeah, make sure you share this. So, yeah, this is the first episode of season 4 of the 99 Ways to Win podcast. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this, and I hope y'all are enjoying my new co-host, Falon. As you can see, I think y'all can see why she's here, because she just brings something different, and I just love her perspective and her insight. So you will be seeing and hearing much more from her. So until next time, this is Michelle Wright with 99 Ways to Win. Keep seeking your success.
Hey guys, so I know we were supposed to talk about goal setting in this episode, but we didn't get to it. So we will address that in the Freestyle Friday for January. All right, see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's episode. We talked about some pretty heavy stuff, including suicide, and I want you to know that there is a national hotline that's available 24/7. All you have to do is dial or text 988, and that is the National Suicide Helpline. Someone is available to help. You can also check out 988lifeline.org for more information and resources, or you can go to mysafetyplan.org so you or somebody that you care about can make out a plan for when they have those self-harming thoughts. Thank you again, and may God bless you.